What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode. And on this episode right here, we're about to dive into a case that happened about 3 years ago. And one of the shooters in this case right here just got sentenced to a life sentence at the age of 22 years old in the Colorado Department of Corrections. And this is the case of Rigo, baby Rigo from Montbello, who got shot and killed at an Airbnb. And it's a very sad story because the day before he got buried, his father, being struck with so much sadness and grief that his son, his only son, was about to be buried the next day, ultimately took his own life. In this video right here, we're gonna cover a little bit of that. So stay tuned, we're gonna get right to it. So the other day I was on Denver Westwood's website and I came across this article right here, and it said that on October 14th, this man right here, his name is Joseph Lash, he's one of two shooters that just now got sentenced to life in the Colorado Department of Corrections. The other shooter is scheduled for trial in February, and more likely he probably gonna get a life sentence too, right? And between the two of these guys right here, they shot about 40 to 50 times into a Airbnb that was having an illegal party and being used as a short-term lease. The driver in this case right here ultimately got a 12-year sentence, and it got suspended to 5 years as long as he completed a youth offender program. So he's gonna be done and completed with that and be back to the streets in no time. But the person that was killed in this was a young man right here, the cat here that's in blue right here. His name was Rigo, right? And you know, it's a very, very sad story because when they came back and shot up the Airbnb, they had no target. They were just upset that there was a $100 door fee, and they went in and they felt it was too expensive, and they had been arguing with it with the bouncer or the people, whoever was at the door doing the money, right? So they shoot it up. The young man dies in the driveway, and the day before he's about to get buried, his father takes his own life because he couldn't deal with the sadness or the grief. And you think about that, that's like super sad. Like, you know, not only did this young man right here at the age of 18, right, die behind just going to the party at this Airbnb, but not only did it affect his family in that way, it ultimately was the way that his father would exit this world, all right? His father exited this world behind the fact of his son being killed at that Airbnb. Now, they were all caught, all three shooters were caught, and you know, 22 years, 3 years he fought this case. Now he got sentenced to what Colorado does. The maximum is a life sentence for any kind of first degree murder, right? And with that, I mean, will he do all 48? At 22, he might be able to walk this down. You know, he might be able to knock down 20 years, 30 years and see the parole board and get out. He's young enough for that, in my humblest of opinions. Y'all can let me know what y'all think down in the comments. But this case right here ultimately sparked a huge issue in regard to the Airbnb industry. And the Denver Westwood did a huge article, and they broke this down, and the title on this was Rental Breakdown. Her son was killed at an illegal party at this Airbnb, but it's still available to book. When this first happened, I originally did a video on this. Y'all can check it out right here, and we went over this case a little bit further, so y'all can check out that video. It coincides with this one. But the issue with this right here was that this Airbnb had 3 violent offenses and shootings that had already happened at it previously. And the family of the young man that was killed, Mr. Rigo, they wanted the owner of this Airbnb to be held responsible for the death of this young man. And now somebody would be like, why would they hold the owner and be the person that rented the property, right? It'd be the person that rented it through the party, which is correct. And the issue here is that the owner, Bobby Mandigo, who I know personally, and I know he's a piece of shit. The dude is a rat. He's no good, but he definitely portrays like, you know, he's a slithering slime ball. It's completely. What happened here is that he was co-hosting this party, and he was there at the time of this shooting, and he had not only was there this offense where this young man died, but there have been 3 other shootings and violent offenses that he continued to rent out this property and try to make money off of throwing parties, and has stripper poles in there, and he living the life, right? You got a rental house, you got a property that, and you're living like, you know, you're doing all these things right here. But now all that fun comes to an end when that party that you booked has somebody get killed behind it. What does he do to the family? He offers them $200 and says, hey, my condolences that your son died at my place, but here's $200 for his burial, right? And the family, from the news reports, said they were sickened by that. You know, it was disgusting that you would even, you know, like, who does that? Who offers like $200 after your son gets killed on a property, right? So they wanted him held responsible for this, and he was able to avoid any issues as far as being charged with the crime or any incidents like that. But what happened is the state of Colorado did an investigation and revoked his license for 3 years. I believe he probably has it back now, since this happened about 3 years ago. So he lost his license to do short-term rentals and things of that nature. And they ultimately wrote this big, long story on Westwood about him and about all the things that happened at his Airbnbs. Excuse me, I got this helicopter going over. Now that's one loud helicopter. But anyway, they did this big expose on Westwood. You can pull it up, westwood.com. You can look it up. They did this big expose on him and the rental and so forth. He loses his license. I feel like he got fined or something along those lines. But, you know, ultimately this comes down to the question, like, should he be responsible for any of that? You know, beside my feelings towards the man and knowing that he's just a piece of shit, you know, is there really liability that should fall on this man, since he was there that night it happened and he was a co-host and he was participating in this? I want y'all to tell me down in the comments below what y'all thoughts on this is right here, because, you know, I think it's very sad that, you know, the chain of events that happened, right? The young man happens to be, you know, killed. Was he a gang member or not a gang member? I don't know, and I don't think it even makes a big deal about it. One way or another, he didn't deserve to die at 18 at a house party, right? He didn't deserve that. You know, these are people that got mad. They came and shot up 40, 50 times, right? But for the chain of events to not only kill him, but ultimately take his father's life, and I mean, it's free will to his father, right? His father chose to exit, right? Because of the grief and the pain of his junior right there, his son, right? But had he never died, that he would have never went that route. So, you know, the chain of events come from somebody being greedy about their money and trying to throw parties and do things and, you know, outside the lines and so forth. So, you know, it really makes someone wonder, all right, who really is responsible? Is it just the trigger man that is responsible for this? Or did the owner of this Airbnb actually have a hand in responsibility behind the death of this young man? I want y'all to know, so let me know in the comments below. And do me a favor before you get up out of here. If you watch this video this far, man, hit your boy with a like, man. Get me up in that algorithm, man. I would appreciate it. And if you want to see what's next up, y'all know the demo already. You're going to hit that sub up button right there, and you're going to see what's next up. And I'll be back around with another round. I'm gone.